You are listening to Policybazaar.ae's The Policy Project. We've got you covered.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new and extremely heartfelt episode of The Policy Project. My name is Sid. I'm the host of this podcast and your go-to person for all things insurance. Now, you must be wondering why exactly did I call this episode heartfelt? Well, that's because today's episode is going to be all about the little red guy in our chest that makes the sun shine brighter, the moon even whiter, and turns your beloved host into a romantic writer. मतलब शायरी भी करने लग गया हूं मैं. Just went off a little bit, but let's save this for Valentine's Day. For now, though, a very happy World Heart Day to all of you. And in today's episode, we shall be discussing all about cardiovascular issues and how exactly can you use insurance to safeguard yourself against any heartbreaks when it comes to your finances. And like always, we're not alone. We have experts with us, not one but two here today, who are here to discuss all about cardiovascular issues. Please welcome Dr. Sachin Upadhyaya. He's a cardiologist at Aster Hospital in Dubai. And of course, Toshita Chauhan, business head health insurance at Policybazaar.ae. Welcome to the both of you. Pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Good morning, Sid, and good morning to the listeners.
All right, डॉक्टर साहब, अब जब हार्ट टू हार्ट बात होनी है तो फिर लेट्स डाइव राइट इन. क्या बोलते हो आप?
Sure, we should. It's very important topic close to my heart, and you chose a very right topic on a World Heart Day. Just to add on to what you said, that why heart is important, I would like to bring the attention of the audience to this is like
जी.
the pregnancy is not considered to be viable till the time the heart comes and be seen by the obstetrician on an ultrasound. And
Right.
we declare the person as dead till the time heart beats, right? There's
Right.
something brain dead, but so what I'm just trying to emphasize is the importance of the heart. Not as a cardiologist, but I really mean it, and we should all be taking good care of our heart so that it is with us for longer period of time. So you chose
Absolutely, जी, absolutely. Cannot wait to start it off. So let's start with सबसे basic question. ये हमारी प्रतिष्ठा रही है on the podcast that we always start with the basics first. So let's start with what are the most common heart diseases that are prevalent amongst the UAE audience here today, and what are the key lifestyle factors for them?
All right. So it's a very, very relevant and a very important question. Like we know that the most common thing and the most common heart disease that we encounter in our day-to-day practice, patients coming to the OPD or ER is, what we commonly call as heart attack. Heart attack is like frank something when the vessel gets blocked and there is damage to the heart. But short of that, patient may have some decreased supply to the heart and can have chest, what is called as
Right.
angina. So this constitutes one of the most common thing that we encounter in our day-to-day life. Here, one thing I would like to emphasize is like as contemporary population to the West as compared to the population in the West, we see a decade earlier, almost 10 years earlier, the occurrence of heart attacks and heart diseases in this part of the world because because of the genetic predisposition and other factors. So we see a lot of younger population having heart attack and angina, etc. This is most common. Another thing
Right.
that we are commonly encountering now is because of the binge or too much of alcohol intake, especially on weekends. Patient may have rhythm disturbances, heart rhythm disturbances, which can present as palpitation, which we commonly and in a technical way call it as atrial fibrillation. So that is also very common these days. And beside the valves and all, can get involved, but those things are relatively less common. But the common things are, as I said, the atrial fibrillation, and most common is heart attacks in a younger population in this part of it.
I see. So, Toshita, I would like your views on the next one. If you can explain what is critical illness coverage and how does it relate to heart disease or heart attacks, so to speak?
Right. So health insurance in the UAE covers, heart disease and any illness related to the heart. The only thing which the insurance company requests is a declaration of your previous medical history. So as we know that, higher cholesterol levels or pressure levels, they can all relate to, eventually heart diseases. So if you
Right.
have any issues previously, if you've had a history, there is a medical application form that you have to fill in before you buy health insurance plan here in the UAE. If you have given all the declarations, as exactly as what the truth says, then eventually everything is covered.
Right.
However, a lot of people, what they don't understand is they have certain medical pre-existing conditions. They buy a health insurance policy stating that I don't have any pre-existing condition, I'm fine, and literally the next day they will go to the hospital and make a claim. And the doctor, and when you are giving your medical history to the doctor, you will not lie there. So if the doctor asks you, "Well, since when have you had this pain, or since when have you been feeling like this," you will tell him the truth, that I've been feeling like that for 3 months or 2 weeks, or I've been on certain
Right.
medication for the last 2 years. And that's exactly what the doctor kind of writes in his note, which gets sent to the
Correct.
insurance company. And that will dictate whether your condition will be covered or not covered. So a
Right.
true declaration is something that, is very important. But in just to kind of summarize, yes, heart related illnesses and diseases are covered in the health insurance plan here in the UAE.
So you touched upon a very critical thing out there called cholesterol, and I'd like to go back to the good doctor. So, Sergi, cholesterol, it's definitely it's playing a part in the cardiovascular health, but with the whole internet jargon out here, everybody is just splurting out words: LDL, HDL, cholesterol. Half of the people don't even understand. So, can you just explain what role does cholesterol actually play in the cardiovascular health, and what are the differences between LDL, HDL, cholesterol?
Yeah. I would like to, tell you, like, the LDL cholesterol is a bad cholesterol, and HDL cholesterol
Right.
is considered to be a good cholesterol. Why HDL cholesterol is called a good cholesterol is because it helps metabolize the bad cholesterol and helps in eliminating it from the body. So HDL cholesterol is a
Okay.
protective cholesterol. But one thing we need to understand here is that you cannot increase HDL by any pharmacological intervention, by any medicine. All the trials that have happened for increasing HDL, all the medicine, no medicine exists as on date, except for some medicine which have some, some evidence that they increase HDL in little way or another, but not significantly. So you cannot
Right.
increase your HDL. That has to come from within. For that, I need to
Okay.
say here, like, smoking decreases HDL. So whatever your genetical
Right.
HDL cholesterol is there, if you smoke, your cholesterol, good cholesterol HDL will go down. If you don't
Okay.
exercise, if you are too much stressed out, and if you are not active, then also your HDL cholesterol will go down.
Right.
So if you exercise, don't smoke, don't stress out, and lead a good healthy life, HDL cholesterol is protective and it goes up. LDL cholesterol
Right.
primarily is dietary associated. Usually, it is increased in the patients who are very liberal in their diet, especially the red meat and fried and oily stuff.
Right.
But at the same time, there may be very less patient population which we call as familial hypercholesterolemia. जैसे हम लोग कहते हैं कि ये तो पानी भी पिएगा तो कोलेस्ट्रॉल बन जाएगा, something like so. So they have
Right.
a tendency to manufacture more cholesterol.
Right.
So that is one thing. But majority of the time, bad cholesterol is LDL cholesterol, which is dietary associated.
Right.
So another thing that I commonly tell to my patient is, I just mentioned, HDL cholesterol, there is no medicine to increase it.
Right.
LDL cholesterol, you can reduce it by medicine. So like, हम लोग कहते हैं ना कि किसी के अंदर कोई खराबी है तो उसको आप लॉ का डर दिखा के या कोई और डर दिखा के you can control it.
Correct.
But किसी के अंदर हाई आप नहीं ला सकते. That has to come from within.
True.
So these things we remember for LDL cholesterol and HDL cholesterol.
Very well put, I must say. Okay. But does sleep also impact heart health? ऐसा भी कुछ होता है?
Of course, of course. A good, healthy sleep is very important, because the patients who don't take healthy sleep for over 6 to 8 hours, they are more prone. In the sense, first of all, we should understand that the cholesterol synthesis happens in the night in the body.
Okay.
So if you are awake, there is more likelihood that you will feel hungry and you binge eat something, right?
Right.
Also, at other time, you have to understand that the cholesterol synthesis is happening in the night. Also, if you don't sleep well, the next day morning your activity level will not be very active and your blood pressure will be relatively high.
Right.
So these are the things that are directly affected by the sleep, besides psychological well-being. And if you don't sleep well, you cannot wake up early in the morning, you don't exercise. So those are the collateral damage of not having a good sleep. So these are important aspects that one should be careful about having a good sleep.
So if you say a good sleep, if a person sleeps for 4 hours but deep sleep karta hai, is that considered good sleep? Or they need that 6 to 8 hours of sleep?
Both things are important. A sound sleep for 6 to 8 hours is important. You cannot say that I had a 4 hours of wholesome sleep, so that will equate to the adequate amount of sleep. No,
Right.
you should have a wholesome sleep, but the duration is also important.
Fair point. Okay. So, Toshita, coming back to you, in terms of health insurance plans, are there different kinds of these plans? And how do insurance or insurers approach pre existing heart conditions for common people? And are there any specific add ons for heart treatment or surgeries?
So UAE has kind of simplified health insurance for all of us, right? They've kind of mandated all the
Yeah.
Emirates, or depending on each Emirates governing body, that what is a health insurance policy, what mandatory it has to include, and
Right.
thankfully heart related diseases etc are covered. As I mentioned earlier, if it's a pre-existing condition, the insurer will evaluate your case basis your medical history and reports that you submit, and will quote a
Correct.
premium accordingly. If it is
Right.
something that, let's say today I have a condition and I'm not aware of, because again heart disease is something that we can't really get checked. My cholesterol seems to be normal, and I seem to be going to the gym and feeling fine, and
Yeah.
I buy a health insurance policy. Insurers sometimes in the health insurance policy may put a waiting period, which is a standard waiting period. It could range from 40 days to 6 months, depending on the type of policy that you're purchasing. And if you
Right.
have a claim within that time, it may be declined. However, there are
Hmm.
multiple options available for policies from coverage starting from day one,
Okay.
for both pre-existing, that anything that you have declared, and for if you declare yourself as I'm absolutely healthy and I don't have any pre-existing and I don't have any genetic predisposition of any certain disease in my family,
Right.
the insurer will give you a very standard pricing, and you kind of go for a treatment basis that. So plans are available, options are available. There are limits that are available, which is basically your sum insured, that up to how much can you claim for a certain condition. So I think that is important for the person who's buying insurance, for themselves to check
Right.
as to which kind of hospital do they wish to have a treatment if they were to have such a kind of a disease or condition,
Right.
and what roughly approximately how much would it cost. So you could have a sum insured of a policy of 150,000 dirham, ranging to up to 1 million, 2 million dirhams, depending on what your requirement is. There is another thing which I wanted to kind of touch base here, is on the birth disorder. So, for example, there are certain,
Right.
unfortunately, children born with certain kind of heart-related health disorders. Certain policies do not cover any birth disorders.
Yes.
So, when you are purchasing that policy, it is very important to note whether it does cover, it doesn't cover.
Okay.
There are certain Emirates here in UAE who mandate it, that it
Right.
has to be covered. Any birth disorder has to be covered, whereas certain don't mandate it, but it is up to the insurance company to provide a cover which they can charge for.
Okay.
So that is something I think the soon to be parents etc. should kind of have a check in their policy as to what they are buying for their newborn,
Absolutely.
or for themselves, because for the first 30 days the newborn is covered in the mother's policy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's good to know knowledge. Fantastic. Okay. So, Dr. Saab, coming back to you, if there is somebody who does not have a lot of time for daily workouts and exercise, let's say because here in the UAE, it's almost 70% of us who are in that regime of we don't have the time to go out for workouts or exercise. Are there any tips to manage the heart health for them?
See, one thing we should be aware is, like, first of all, I would like your attention to be drawn. We will continue on HDL and LDL cholesterol thing. Like,
G.
if you look at that LDL and HDL thing, we did a data analysis of our patient who presented with a heart attack. So,
Right.
even in the patient who were knowing that their cholesterol is high, like they were aware that they have high cholesterol,
Hmm.
their controls were very, very poor.
Okay.
So that clearly indicates the patient inertia
Hmm.
or the physician inertia. So they have not been aware, their knowledge base have been limited, or I mean to say, awareness is very, very important.
Correct.
Sometimes we try to blame on the busy life schedule, I don't get time, and also I always try to tell my patient to simplify the regimen. One thing we need to understand that American College of Cardiology and the European Society of Cardiology and all those major organizations who publish preventive cardiology guidelines, they just recommend 30 minutes of walk every day, at least 5 days in a week.
Right.
You need not go and hit the gym or any yoga. If you want to do that for muscle building or yoga, if you're passionate about that, you're welcome to do that.
Correct.
But what is recommended is 30 minutes of walk every day, at least 5 days in a week, or 20 minutes of swimming if you know to swim,
Yeah.
at least 5 days in a week. There are Mediterranean diet and Dutch diet and all. But for simplified purpose, I will say avoid red meat,
Okay.
avoid fried and oily, avoid visible fat. Whatever fat is visible in your diet, you should avoid. Visible salt, visible fat has to be avoided.
Okay.
Avoid red, avoid fried food, oily food, and try to walk every day half an hour. If you are doing this much, believe you me, you are doing enough to have a good healthy lifestyle. Of course, you should not smoke.
Right.
Alcohol should be minimal, and psychosocial stress should be as much as you can. With what we call as LRA, as low as reasonably allowed.
Okay. It's funny that you just mentioned smoking here, because there are a few of the gentlemen and the ladies here in the UAE. They do smoke, but they are vaping also, and there are harmful effects of vaping. And then they say that no, this is not smoking. It's different than smoking. So, just want to get: are there any harmful effects of vaping? And have you seen some cases
Yeah.
where vaping has adversely affected the heart health as well?
Smoking and vaping both are bad. Any tobacco intake in any form, shisha,
Right.
oral tobacco, smoking, vaping, any tobacco in any form is harmful. So we should
Right.
not have any doubts about this, that if you stop smoking and vape, or if you smoke smoking and do shisha or anything else, or nicotine chewing gum, etc.
Yeah.
Those things, nicotine chewing gum, etc., are good to when you plan to leave smoking and you are trying to take help from somewhere.
Right.
But otherwise, if you cannot say that these are safer options. Certainly not.
Okay. But are there any early signs or symptoms of heart disease that people should be aware of? Like, how can someone assess the risk of their heart disease? Even if they're daily working out, daily exercising, is there some specific tests or markers?
Yeah, see, first of all, we should understand that there are modifiable and non modifiable risk factors for the heart attack. The modifiable risk
Okay.
factors are one which you can modify, the non modifiable risk factors are which you cannot do anything about it. Like coming,
Okay.
like age, being a male, or coming from a South Asian ethnicity, these are considered to be risk factors. You cannot do anything about it, right? But the
True.
things which you can do anything about it are modifiable risk factors, and you should try and keep those modifiable risk factors away. Know your blood
Yeah.
pressure, know your sugar levels, know your LDL and HDL cholesterol levels, and be aware that how much you are walking. You should know that number, how much amount you are walking or not. So all these numbers, be aware. 90% of the heart attacks can be explained by 9 risk factors. So indirectly, if you look at this data, like if you avoid these 9 risk factors, you are reducing the risk of a heart attack by 90%. And those risk factors
Okay.
were all that we are aware. The only thing is that we need to be more alert about them. Blood pressure, sugar, cholesterol, smoking, alcohol, psychosocial stress, lack of physical activity, obesity, and something which astonishing came out of that was the people who take less of fruits and vegetables are more at risk of an heart attack. So have adequate
Oh.
amount of fruits and vegetables because they have antioxidants, minerals which are heart
Right.
protective.
Right. Very insightful and very interesting segment indeed. Thank you so much, Doctor. Abhi, let's move on to our next one, which is called Ask Away. So here we take up FAQs by our customers and we respond to them with the help of our experts. Now, if you too are an inquisitive and curious learner like myself, and you've got questions about finance, about insurance, about health, don't hesitate. Just ask away. Slide into our DMs on Instagram, follow us on Policybazaar.ae, or reach out to us via any of the other social media channels, and we'll try our best to answer your questions in the next episode. Today, however, we shall be taking up questions related to World Heart Day and cardiovascular diseases. So we've received in our inbox quite a few. So Dr. Saab and Toshita, ready with your answers for the askaways?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So the first one is coming in from Abir say, and Toshita, if you would like to answer this one, what's the process of claiming heart-related medical expenses under a health insurance policy, and how to choose between critical illness coverage versus a general health insurance?
So the health insurance claim procedure is very standard. If you basically would have a health insurance policy which is linked to your Emirates ID, or you would, the insurance company would have shared what we call as a health e-card with you, which states your policy
Right.
number. You have a network list where the insurance company covers your claims cashless. So you basically go to the facility, you consult whichever doctor you want to consult, the specialist or the GP,
Hmm.
and they would generally have a co-payment attached to your policy terms and conditions. So there'll be a diagnostic co-payment, there'll be a consultation co-payment, etc. So you pay that, and depending
Right.
on your policy terms and conditions, the facility will send it for approval to the insurance company, and you'll get an approval, and you take the treatment and you're back home. Again, very important to declare everything correctly so that no claims are denied. However, it is important to
Right.
note the fine terms and conditions of the policy. There could be certain
Hmm.
conditions which are excluded. There could be certain treatments which are excluded. For example, if you are going
Hmm.
for alternate medicine therapy, or certain additional benefits that come in more comprehensive plans rather than just the basic plans. You
Right.
may want to see which hospital or facility you want to consult, and whether that is part of the insurance policy you've purchased. And the second part of your
Right.
question was about the critical illness coverage versus the basic health insurance
General
policy.
health
Yeah.
insurance.
So in
Yes.
the UAE, the critical illnesses are all covered by your regular health insurance. The limits may differ as to how much coverage each provides. Again,
Hmm.
everything you have to mention for other medical histories, etc. So if everything is mentioned correctly and the insurer has priced it for you, everything will be covered. Certain things you may need to know, for example, if there is a bypass surgery or if there is an angiography, etc., there could be certain
Hmm.
exclusions in the policy which may not be covered. Uh, but anything which is medically threatening to your life is covered in this country, is something which we want the audience and our listeners to understand. So that makes it easier
Right.
for all the UE residents to kind of understand, what is covered. And the last thing I would say is just check the waiting periods in the policy. That how
Hmm.
soon can you claim for any condition, what your policy terms state. So you may get a really affordable and a cheaper premium plan, but that could have a waiting
Right.
period of 6 months, for example, and you may not be able to claim anything for 6 months. So that's, I think, something that you should check importantly. And if you ever have any confusion, you can always reach out to Policybazaar.ae, and we'll be happy to kind of take you through all the plans.
Perfect. Abir, we hope you got your answer. Second question is coming in from Shanti Se, and Shanti is the name. Dr. Saab, she's asking you, how does mental health factors such as anxiety and depression impact cardiovascular health? I know we touched upon it a little while back, but if you could just elaborate, and what lifestyle changes can we help mitigate these effects?
See, one should understand that psychosocial stress, anxiety, and depression both are
Hmm.
now, as I mentioned in the Inter Heart series, they clearly showed that this is related to the heart disease for sure,
Right.
because of the direct implications, and also because it changes your cardiometabolic profile in a way that you are more prone to have
Hmm.
a heart disease.
Okay.
Of course, if you are anxious or you are depressed, you are more likely to have more binge eating and irresponsible eating.
Hmm.
It can affect the blood pressure.
Right.
It indirectly affects your cholesterol, and as I mentioned, it definitely affects your cardiometabolic profile overall.
Hmm.
And one thing also I would like to emphasize, that don't please try to tackle this heart or this mental health issues by doing non-pharmacological intervention, because the medicines that are used,
Hmm.
like antidepressants and all,
Hmm.
they also have a harmful effect on the heart, especially the rhythm disturbances are very common in these kind of drugs.
Right.
So another thing is that when you exercise, there is a release
Hmm.
of positive hormones like dopamine, serotonin, endorphin, and enkephalins. So don't take exercise as something which is going to build you up and you sweat and you feel good. No, it is much more than that. And as we say,
Right.
these lifestyle changes are TLC, that is therapeutic lifestyle changes. So there In
Right.
fact, that is what is described in the book. Therapeutic. They use the word TLC, that is therapeutic lifestyle changes. So by that, I want to make my audience aware that you want to get treated by medicines or by lifestyle changes. I think lifestyle changes treatment is much more simpler and much more welcome thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. Now, last question. Again, Toshita, if you could just shed some light on it.
Sure.
How do health insurance providers in the UAE support preventive health checkups for heart diseases?
So, if you see whether you are in an individual health insurance policy or a group health insurance policy, which is, let's say, given to you by the company that you work for or your employer, a lot of insurance plans have annual health checkups. So, depending on what
Right.
age you are, the health checkup could be once every year, the health checkup could be once every 2 years or once every 3 years. There is a certain
Correct.
predefined list of health checkups for male and female in a certain age bracket, and these generally include your regular blood work, which gives you an indication of your cholesterol levels, your iron, hemoglobin, etc., your RBCs, etc., your basic blood work. You would then
Absolutely.
be asked to do a BMI check as to what is your weight correlating to your height and where that puts you at the risk of diseases. You
Right.
also, certain health insurance policies also give you an option of ECG. They also give you an option of treadmill tests, etc. So these are commonly available. At Policy Bazaar, what we've also done is we've gone a step ahead and we've said, you know what, we have a huge portion of customers who are not claiming because they're healthy. Uh,
Right.
but they don't really get any benefit from the insurers, and every year their renewal premium is increasing just because of the health inflation, the increased costs. And how do we help
Correct.
them? So we, for example, are giving out an annual free health checkup for all the customers who don't claim, because we also
Oh,
want
very nice.
the insurance company to know their history, like what is it that they can claim for. We want the customer to be aware of what is going on inside them, and this is a
True.
way of us rewarding the customers. So I think the health checkup plans are something which is more preventive. If you would have seen, again, the government here drives a lot of initiatives during World Heart Days, World Diabetes Day, and breast cancer awareness, etc. So all those initiatives are still going on. We'll soon have the Dubai fitness, the winter campaign that comes
Yeah.
up.
Fitness challenge.
So I think we're lucky to be in a place and in a country which supports healthy living, and
Yeah.
I think we just have to follow it.
Yeah, just if I can make one quick point, like
Please,
taking
sir.
Tochita's words forward, like we should be feeling blessed and happy and fortunate to be living in such part of the world where the government takes so much initiative to make the people aware about the fitness, as you mentioned, the fitness challenge and other things and marathons, and also we should be actively participating on those endeavors and try to be remaining fit and be aware. Just to
Yeah.
mention that, for those patients who don't have insurance policy, they may find it a little challenging because of the cost. So in Aster Hospital, Mankul, and other Aster branches also, we
Gee.
run very, very heavily subsidized, preventive cardiology packages, just in the tune of 500 dirham, 1000 dirham, 1400 dirham, starting from 500 dirhams, where at least you can know your numbers. As I mentioned
Oh,
earlier, blood
fantastic.
pressure, cholesterol. Then you can get in touch with the cardiologist, discuss, as I mentioned, the lifestyle changes then one need to inculcate. And if you're detected to be, any of those things, hypertension, diabetes, or anything, cholesterol, etc., you can get a pharmacological or treatment advice as well. So, the only thing is we need to be
Fantastic.
alert, aware, and, as usual, Astro Hospital is always there. We have preventive cardiology, very robust program actually. We are in the process of analyzing some lipid profile of our patients. And as I mentioned earlier, that we found that the patient who know that their cholesterol is high, even their control rates are very, very, minimal. So that share should go. Like we should be more, active,
Right.
aware, alert, and aggressive to treat our numbers in terms of blood pressure, sugar, and cholesterol to avoid the risk of heart attack or heart disease.
All right, Ji. Thank you so much, Doctor. And this brings us to the end of this segment. But don't go just yet. If you have any questions about finance, about insurance, about health, then simply ask away. DM us on Instagram, follow us at Policybazaar.ae, or reach out to us via any of the other social media channels, and we'll try our best to answer your queries in the next episode. For now, though, a very happy World Heart Day to each and every one of you. And I hope we're fully up to date with our knowledge about cardiovascular diseases as well. We'll meet again in the next episode with more informative and insightful content with our lovely experts. For now, though, thank you so much to the both of you. Really had fun on this podcast.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
That's it for today's episode, everyone. See you in the next one. Till then, take care and stay tuned.
You were listening to Policybazaar.ae's The Policy Project. We've got you covered.